experiences that you've had and the wisdom you gain from that, how they can begin to take their lives in a different direction. You dismantle their current belief system and inspire them to take another choice in how they're showing up in life. And this is where people are. We're going through a major disruption now, and it's going to even get even more volatile.
Yeah.
Because when resources and jobs and access to money is limited, it gets very desperate and ugly behavior out of people. You know? And so having voices in their head that can help them to navigate that, to remind them of what our forefathers did.
So how would a person start to even move in that direction or walk down that path?
You never ask that question.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason you don't ask that question is because you go from your heart to your head. Okay. I didn't do what I'm doing now for 14 years because, first of all, there was nobody on stage that looked like me. Even now, over 90% of my audience is Caucasian. You know, Black people know me as Les Brown, who was married to Gladys Knight. White people know me as Les Brown, who changed my life.
Right.
So because our orientation is for entertainment, and this space here, in order to navigate where we are now, it requires information. But information alone can't change a person. You have to create a significant emotional event that hit them at the core of their being, so that they become self-persuaded. I've got to do something different with my life.
It's almost like an awakening.
Yes, it's a commitment. It's commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts should be established. When you make the commitment, you'll figure it out. But if you ask, how am I going to do it? You go to your head and you start thinking and you start procrastinating, and procrastination is where dreams go to die. So for 14 years, I didn't do it. And then I was at this event at Bob Proctor, and I mentioned this today, and this guy was speaking, and he just stopped. He said, there's somebody here that should be up here doing this, but you've convinced yourself that you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes. And then started talking, went on. He said, okay. He said, this just dropped in my spirit. He said, there's somebody here. I'm standing in your dream. You should be here holding this mic. I do this because I can make a lot of money doing it. I get $5,000 an hour. He said, you want to do this because you have a heart for changing people's lives.
Right.
And the reason I'm standing up here and you're seated out there, I represent the thoughts you have rejected for yourself. Man, I jumped up. I said, oh my God, I just got past the people there to my right. I said, excuse me. I ran outside. And at this time, they had telephone booths where Superman used to go change his clothes. Okay, he can't do that now. And I called my mentor, Mike Williams, who saw this Les Brown before I saw him. And he said, hello? I said, Mike, I'm not rejecting myself anymore. He said, Brownie, what's wrong? Calm down. I said, no. I said, my mother has breast cancer, and I've resigned from the Ohio legislature. I've got to start all over again, and I need the money to help her get the best treatment possible. She's not going into a nursing home. I'm not going to let my brothers and sisters put her in a nursing home. I'm going to do this myself. And I got a voice and I can speak. And you've seen it, man, in me. And I thank you so much. I'm not procrastinating anymore. I'm not rejecting myself anymore. And sometimes you have to have somebody's belief in you. Yeah. Until your belief kicks in.
1991, Christmas Day, I was getting high all day, drinking, getting high, and hadn't seen my family, hadn't seen my children, and I walked in 7-Eleven, and I ran into this woman. She knew me from work, and she's like, Tim, what are you doing? You haven't been home to see your children, You haven't seen your wife. You out here in the streets doing you need to get yourself together. The Holy Ghost started dealing with me. Now I was really in a state of guilt. And Lady Rose had been saved for about 1 year. And I called her up and I said, "Hey baby, what's going on?" And she said, the first thing came out of her mouth, "The Lord told me to let you go." And I sat on the side of the bed. Lord, what am I going to do now? I got on my knees right there in the detox center. And I said, "Lord, if you deliver me now, I will never return to me." And God took the gavel and he not guilty.
I became self-persuaded. I'm going to do this. This is my way to be able to provide for my mother. And I don't need my brothers and sisters to help me. She's not going to a nursing home. I will take care of her.
Wow. Wow. So how do you navigate through when you got success and your self-esteem can't rise up to the success that you have?
There are no overachievers in the universe. You have success. If you achieve something that's beyond your comfort zone, in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. Mm-hmm. If you go the journey of dying to who you are now, if a man is to gain his life, he must lose his life,
right,
as Paul said. People who gain success and lose it are people who get instant success, like the lottery. Mm-hmm. Over 85% of them lose their money because they didn't go through the process to build their character and their perseverance and their determination and their drive and hunger to achieve it. So when you have something that you decide, this is me, and I deserve to do this. And I remember at the same conference, a guy said, the average person earned around $5,000 to $6,000 a year. I've been doing this for 53 years. He said, I get $5,000 an hour, and the reason that you're earning $5,000 to $6,000 a year is because that's your state of consciousness. That's your level of awareness. Mm. He said there's never a shortage of money. It's just a shortage of thinking and of imagination and the creativeness to generate more. Just think about this. It took me 3 years to earn my first $1 million in this space. This is before LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I had to go from city to city. Now, we have infinite intelligence in our hands, in our telephones. We have access to information you can get just like this. And so the people that are going to fail, and the reason that many people are failing, and over 90% are failing, is they're trying to open up new doors with old keys. You can't do it. Einstein said that the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. So what's most important, one, you have to transform your mind. Be ye not conformed to this world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Most people are following the herd rather than their heart. Right. And you have to have a skill that's you, something that resonates with your job is what you get paid for, but a calling is what you're made for. Yeah. My grandchildren asked me, Papa, what's one thing that you would advise me to do as I go into the future? And I said, good question. I said, live your life the way you want to live your life.
What if 50% of your church membership was business owners? And what if this 50% was used to underwrite your ministry vision? Pastor, I would like to invite you to host this free business seminar, The Fundamentals of Starting a Successful Business. Several key areas are taught in this seminar. The first one is 6 critical areas when going into business vision assessment, developing business goals, market research, how to write a business plan, choosing the right legal structure for your business, setting up your books, and much, much more. Pastor, call today or email and dispel this what if, and make your vision a reality by hosting this free business seminar, The Fundamentals of Starting a Successful Business.
I just want to say my experience at the Fundamentals seminar was actually amazing. It was great information. It was so much to take in, but I'm glad that I had notes and that you guys provided just great tools. I'm going to definitely sign up for my 60-minute consulting session, and I'm looking forward to just prospering and putting the plan into action for my business.
Wow, the fundamental for starting a successful business was absolutely amazing. Even as an experienced business owner, I gained some great nuggets, a lot of great wisdom from the man of God, Tim Harrell. It was absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait for the next one.
My takeaway today was just to stay focused, committed, do what you love, and I took away some great tools, and I'm looking forward to the 60-minute consulting with Pastor Harrell, and I encourage you guys that are, wanting to start a business to, look into it and just stick to your dream and never give up.
Hi, I just want to say I was so happy to come out to the business seminar. When I came in today, I didn't have any business ideas in mind. I just said I'm going to come here with an open mind. And listening to the wonderful delivery today and all of the trinkets that I learned, I realized that I think I may want to start a real estate business. I think I want to go into real estate. And it was just greatness to be here and that vision to come to me during the ceremony. Just want to say I had a great time.
This hospice nurse, she worked in this nursing home with patients who are at the end of their lives, and most of them talked about their regrets, things that they did not do. I'm teaching people how to live a life of no regrets, live your life the way you want to live your life. And so the other thing that's important is positive relationships. You can't make it by yourself. Harvard University did a 78-year study to find out what is it that the 1%ers have in common that allow them to achieve. And what they discovered, they had a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships with people that knew more than them, people that challenged them, that brought the best out of them, that inspired them. They inspired each other. Sidney Poitier, in his book called The Measure of a Man, there's a part in that book that I love. He said, when you go for a walk with someone, and this is really true, something happens without being spoken. Either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. When I found that out, I got away from all of my broke friends because people influence you unconsciously. So at the time when I heard that, I was earning around $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Now I get $79,000 an hour. Same person physically, but different mentally, and the skill set that I developed, that there's a need for that. And so when you transform your mindset, which is an ongoing process, and you develop a skill that people need, people will always want to have something that can help them to get better, to help them to heal, to help them to overcome being stuck and being frightened and giving up on themselves. People always need a voice that will call out the best in them.
Yes. And you've definitely been that person over the years. I've listened to you over the years and listened to a lot of your stories. You know, I remember one of the stories when you were sleeping in your office.
Oh, yeah, the Penobscot building. You know, I did a training about 3 weeks ago, and there was a guy there. He said, I need to tell you something. I said, what is it? He said, I was in the car with my grandmother listening to you on a cassette tape. And she said, don't listen to him. My grandmother worked at the Penobscot building, downtown Detroit. And she said, he sleeps in his office with two friends and hide in a closet when the janitorial staff come in, and they bathe in the sink down the hall. He's a loser. Don't listen to him. And he said, I'm glad I didn't listen to her. He said, wow, who would have thought, man? He said, I know where you started from because I heard the stories.
Now, would you consider those defining moments in your life?
Without any question. We have different kinds. And the most was when my sister called and said, Mama has breast cancer and it's terminal. And they have some nice nursing homes here in Dade County, in Miami. And we're going to find out which one is most suitable. And I said, no. I had a problem. How can one woman raise 7 children she didn't give birth to, and 7 grown people can't take care of one woman?
That is profound.
I said, no, we can figure this out. And so I resigned from the Ohio legislature. I just got reelected. I was the chairman of the Human Resource Committee, the Education Committee. And once again, this guy, Mike Williams, he saw me being able to do that. I was fired for editorializing about police brutality. I'm going to send you a video. And it's called the Kahiki incident. And this black couple holding a 9-month-old baby, and his sister-in-law, there was a dispute about the bill. And 5 policemen showed up. And one just said, don't raise your voice at me, and hit him while he was holding his 9-month-old baby. And the mother just became super powerful. And she fought them. They had to call for backup. It took around 12 police officers to restrain her. And a white guy named Tom Catron. Now, during this time, police brutality was not a crime. And this white guy said, are you Les Brown? I said, yes. He said, you're on the air now? I said, yes. He said, I just saw something. These black people that were beaten in a restaurant. So I said, continue. And I opened up the mic and had him share what he saw. They are turning down Champion Avenue. Oh my God. Other cops are coming now. They're opening up the back of the paddy wagon. They're taking turns going in. And they were going in and they were beating Barbara while she was handcuffed on the floor. And at one point, they beat her so badly and she bled so profusely, they had to turn her head so she would not drown in her blood.
Wow.
So I get this call. This lady said, this is about a month ago, are you Les Brown? I said, yes. You on radio, the Kahiki incident, the police brutality case in Columbus, Ohio? Yes. You editorialized about it and brought thousands of people out to demonstrate against it? I said, yes. And you were fired? I said, yes. She said, I was that baby. My father was holding me when the policeman hit him.
Wow. Wow.
She says, I'm an attorney now, And I'm going to do a story on that, on a Netflix special. I need to interview you. I've been looking for you. My mother and father are dead, but you're the last piece to the puzzle, and I finally found you.
Wow.
I just said, whoa. That was jaw-dropping.
Wow. I'm so honored to be in your presence.
Thank you.
I'm always honored to be in the presence of greatness.
Thank you.
And I got a whole list of questions, but so
Come on, bring it on. Don't come for me. I didn't call an Uber. I'm ready for you.
I remember because I remember a lot of your stories, things that you shared about your life. I remember the story when you got swindled out of your mother's house.
Yes.
What was you going through during that time, emotionally?
First, I had to get a grip on myself because I was so angry. I wanted to go look for this guy and kill him because I didn't do a title search.
Right.
And my attorney said, "Have you done a title search?" I said, "No." She said, "You need to do a title search." I said, "What's that?" To see if there are any liens against the property. And because if there are, you're going to be liable.
Right.
So he said, "Look, man, I'm only want to sell you this house because you want to take care of your mother. You want to get this house for her." And I identified with you on that. He said, "There are no liens against it." I looked at my attorney. I said, "I believe you." She dropped her pen. She said, "This is a big mistake." I signed a contract. 3 weeks later, people started driving by the house to want to look at the house. Then they were just looking at it. Then some came in the gate and wanted to come knock on the door to look around. I said, What do you want?"
Right.
He said, "This house is up for a sheriff's sale." "Not this house. I just bought this house." And so finally, I called the owner. I said, "Hey," I said, no, the person who was owed the money. I said, "I just bought this house." He said, "I got a lien against this house." He said, "I want my money in 30 days or you're going to have to get out." I said, "Man, I don't owe you that money." He said, "You should have done a check to see if there was a lien on the property." And we had to move. I remember being up all night thinking, "God, give me a sign. Don't take this house from us." And I was calling on Jesus, Yahweh, Melchizedek,
Right.
you name them, Muhammad. I would call on everybody, okay?
Right.
And finally, around 4:30 in the morning, I went down and I woke my mother up. I said, "Mom, I need to talk to you." I said, "I've been up all night." She said, I know, son. I've heard you walking back and forth. What's wrong?" I said, "The house is up for sheriff's sale, and we got to move out today." She said, "Good. I didn't like the damn house anyhow." I said, "What? You told me you loved it."
Right.
She said, "I told you that because you loved it."
Right.
She said, "Look at these steps. I got arthritis. I don't like going up and down these damn steps." Pack up, let's go.
Right.
Boy, we drove back to Liberty City. Neighbors coming out looking, "Maybe y'all back?" "Yeah, Les didn't have a lien on the house." and so he lost it. Came in the house. The roaches were playing bid whist. "Come on, get ahead."
Right.
"Mamie's back. We gonna have sweet potato pie."
Right.
My mother could fix a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on.
Wow.
Had to take your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes. You know? They were some happy campers. But it took me 30 days. I was anchoring myself on the words, anger is a wind that blows out the lamp of the mind. When something happens, every morning we wake up, we have a chance and we have a choice because we have life. And I had to choose to be angry and want revenge or choose what am I going to do with this and figure out how to get enough money to get another house.
Wow.
I got a bigger house, 10,000 square feet, and a 12-foot deep swimming pool and a basketball court. Mama said, I can't play no damn basketball. I'm 72, nigga. But I changed what I was focused on. Every day we got a chance, choice. Choose ye this day whom ye shall serve. The highest that's in you or the lowest that is in you.
Now, how did your mother motivate you? Because I hear you talk about your mom a lot.
Because I was so grateful. How do you decide that you're going to take care of 7 children? She never had any children herself. She had a 3rd grade education. And a reporter interviewed her and asked her, how did you know you could raise 7 children as a single mom? She said, I didn't know. She said, I just felt the Lord will make a way somehow. And so I believe that all of us have greatness within us, but most of us have not found something that will inspire us to tap into that. You know, Viktor Frankl in the book called Man's Search for Meaning, he said in life you either in a problem or just left one or headed toward one. And he said if you can find the why for living, he was in Auschwitz, and you find something that will give you a reason to get up in the morning, something that feeds your soul and spirit, that will give you the power to overcome anything that life throws in your path. And Henry David Thoreau said that I want to corner life, get it in a corner and suck all the nectar out of it, and milk it. And that's my attitude. That one of my mentees was Dr. Miles Monroe, and he said, Les Brown, he said, you need to teach people how to do what you do. And I said, why? He said, there's no success like successors. He said, just think about how you helped me to adjust my languaging approach so that I'm not just speaking to 15% of the audience that go to church, but the other 85% too. He said, you need to begin to amplify the others. Voices out there that have the potential to do it, but they need someone to mentor you like Mike Williams mentored me.